Ladies and Patreons, Andy here, day 170 of the Inner Winner Show. Listen, guys, let me get really serious for a minute. I'm on a mission this year to really build something fucking epic with our community, and for that, I need your help. If my content has helped you in a big way, what I want you to do is pause this podcast right now, go to patreon.com/killyourinnerloser and join the cheapest tier. It's literally $5. The more of you that do this, the more content I can go on to create. So many of you guys send me emails, you hit me up, you say an article or a podcast that I've done has legitimately changed your life. $5 is a pretty reasonable amount to donate in return for that, don't you think? And I'm very serious about this. If an article or a podcast I've done has genuinely affected you and made your life better, I want you to pay it forward so that I can keep helping other people just like you. I want to help the next person who's just like you. Someone who struggled as much as you have, who deserves to be helped just as much as you were. Go to patreon.com/killyourinnerloser. I really want us to build the best, most awesome self-improvement and getting laid community on the internet. I have big plans for 2021 with a couple of projects that I want to release, some content that I really want to, dive in and do. The only way that I can get there is with your help. So let's fucking do it. I really appreciate the support. Patreon.com/killyourinnerloser. Today we're going to answer some questions. It'll be a fairly casual podcast. A question from a guy who says, I'll just read his email out. So he says, "Hey Andy, thanks for reaching out. I've actually been I've been freaking out," and he wrote that in capital letters. First thing I'll say is, dude, calm down. Over 2 dates that I have set up for this weekend. One of them is a second date. I thought I 100% botched the first one, and I only asked her out on a second date because I felt like I should try. Awesome. There's a hell of a lot of life lessons that we can learn there. This is why I tell you guys over and over again, you need to just take your shot. You need to just be playing the numbers game. You need to ask every single girl, let's grab a drink. Or if you have a first date, even if it doesn't go well, you need to be doing what this motherfucker did, what this badass motherfucker did. You need to say, "Hey, let's grab a second drink. Let's have another date. Do you want to come over?" Awesome. I love that, man. Especially when you weren't 100% confident. A lot of the time, when you're a newbie, you're going to be very self-critical, and you're going to be focused on the bad aspects of the date, right? You're going to be like, "Man, I was so nervous. I was a little awkward. There are a couple of moments where I was shaking. There was a few moments of awkward silence. God, that was an awful date." You're not in a position where you can look at the date objectively and say whether it was good or bad, right? And so from your point of view, because you're so hyper-focused on the bad parts of the date, you're just going to think it was shit. Or a lot of the time you're going to say that was a shit date. From her point of view, she might think that was a great date or even just a decent date. You also need to look at where the threshold, I guess you can say. You don't need to be having the world's most amazing date for her to have a second date with you. Sure, it definitely helps. Obviously, the better the date goes, the more confident you are. All of that stuff makes her more likely to see you again, of course. But it isn't a binary thing. It's not like if you have a bad date, she will never see you again. Obviously, try and have the best date you possibly can. But this is a really great example of why you need to be just taking your shot all the time and not be worried about rejections and not be self-sabotaging. Because you could have very easily self-sabotaged here, dude. What's this guy's name? Kevin, you could have been very easily, drawn into that self-sabotage. You could have said "Nah, I think the first date was shit. I shouldn't even try. What's the point? She's just going to say no." That's what we're talking about when we say this loser's mindset, which I talk about sometimes, versus a winner's mindset. I'll leave a link in the show notes below to a podcast I did on winners versus losers mindset. You had a winner's mindset here, dude. Even though you thought that you weren't going, you thought, "Yeah, she's probably not going to, but whatever, I'll fucking take a chance." That's way better than being a loser or having a loser's mindset and just going, "Yeah, there's no point. She's going to say no anyway, so I won't even try." You 100% lose if you don't try. At least if you take a shot and try, sometimes they'll say yes, just like this chick did. So I'll keep reading. You said you had to really push yourself to send that second date text. She said yes. Awesome. Great. Brilliant. A lot of the time you really have to force yourself to do stuff that you don't want to do, right? Hitting send on that message. Inviting her out for a drink, even though you're nervous as hell. When you meet up, reaching over and holding her hand at some point, going for a kiss, inviting her back to your place. These are all things that you really have to push yourself to do early on because you're fucking terrified because you haven't done it before. God knows I used to pace back and forwards in my apartment before I would send a text, like inviting a girl out for a drink or something. I would literally pace back and forwards for 20 or 30 minutes. That's normal at the start. that goes away the more you practice this stuff. You'll get to a point where you don't care so much, right? You're not that stressed if they say no. You're just going to be like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. I'll go talk to another girl. So huge kudos to you for having the balls to actually do it, even though you thought that there was, a pretty good chance she'd say no. Good on you. So I'll keep reading. I haven't made any moves yet. She's coming to my place and we're cooking. I'm all in my head. By the way, that's a really decent second date. A lot of guys do that. You can also just invite her over for a drink, but cooking is like pretty good. I've got a couple of my coaching clients who invite girls over for the second date. They just say like, hey, come over and we'll cook something. That's a pretty casual, semi-intimate, semi-romantic date idea. And it's pretty easy to make a move after you have dinner. I would say try and cook something light. Don't cook some big heavy meal that's going to sit in your stomach and you're both going to be all bloated or something. Don't have like 5 fucking pizzas. It doesn't matter massively, but move towards something a bit lighter and a bit easier and maybe more fresh, maybe a bit of salad and shit in there as well. Good shit though. I'm all in my head. I'm super anxious thinking that I don't deserve to try. Well, you do deserve to try. You already tried. So, you're already a badass for that. So give yourself credit for that. You're absolutely the kind of guy that deserves to try. You should be fucking trying, dude. Like you had the balls to message this girl when you thought you fucked up the first date. A ton of guys would just be a little pussy and put their little tail between their legs, run home, hide under the bed and say, oh, this is hard. I shouldn't try. I shouldn't invite her on a second date. You had the balls to do that. So you absolutely should be trying to make a move when she's over. I'm worried that it's going to be super awkward, complete train wreck, and that I should save myself the embarrassment because there's no way it's going to end well. Okay, so now you need to be very careful that you don't self-sabotage this, yeah? You need to be very careful that you don't start slipping into like a loser's mindset where you're obsessed with this going badly and, oh my God, it's going to go so bad. It's going to be so embarrassing. It's going to be a complete train wreck. The more you obsess about that, the more you focus on that, the more you will literally make it come true, right? Because you will be sitting there the entire time in your head, terrified about how this is going to go so bad. Oh my God, I know it's going to be awful. There's going to be a train wreck, instead of trying to win. The way that you would try to win is you would say, it's okay if it's a complete awkward train wreck. I'm just human. I don't have a lot of experience with this stuff. I'm learning. That's completely normal at the start. If it's embarrassing, so what? I'll learn from it. I'll try and keep an open mind and I will try and have the best night that I possibly can, right? We'll just have a bit of fun. I'll take the pressure off myself and I'll talk about that in a second. And I'll just relax and have a bit of fun with her, yeah? Start moving towards or start focusing on the positive outcome. Like start having that winner's mindset, obsessing about it going right, and stop obsessing about it going wrong, because you're going to make it go wrong because you're so obsessed with it going wrong. It's all you're focusing on right now. I want you to start coming up with ways that you can make it go well, yeah? And that's what I talk about when I say a winner's mindset. So I'll give you some examples. How would you make it go well? Come up with a really good recipe or Google a really good recipe of a food that you're going to cook that you think would be great with her. That's great. That's something awesome you can do. Find yourself a Spotify playlist of some really good music that you really like, that you're really excited to share with her. Great. That's a way to make this, a good date. Grab yourself a sex toy if you don't have any. That's a way that you can have a lot of fun. Fucking practice if you want. Go over in your head what you're going to say or how you're going to make the move. Start thinking through that in a positive way. Don't get neurotic and anxious about it, but start thinking like, yeah, I'm going to kiss her. It's going to be great. Start fantasizing about how fun the sex will be and do that in a positive way. Don't do that in a way where you add pressure onto yourself, but start having a little fun in your head and going like, man, it'd be so great when I have sex with her. I'm going to feel like a badass. I really didn't even think about like this girl was going to see me for a second date. Start thinking about how good the story is going to be, the story that you get to tell people. Man, I didn't even think this girl was going to meet me. It was like the worst first date ever. I thought I fucked it up. And then I ended up having sex with her. Start thinking about like that story. So start moving towards how awesome this is going to be. Start coming up with some ways that you're going to make this a good night. Music, get some fucking candles if you want. Come up with a decent, food recipe that you're going to cook, like whatever you're going to cook. Get all the ingredients. Buy really good ingredients. That's another way you can make it win. You don't have to go crazy with this shit. Buy some alcohol if you want to drink. You don't have to drink. Don't think that that's mandatory. But get some really nice tequila or something, or vodka, whiskey, whatever the hell you like to drink. It doesn't matter. The point is, I'm trying to say, move towards how you can make this a good night where you win instead of what you're doing right now, which is, this is going to be a complete awkward train wreck. Stop obsessing with what could go wrong and start obsessing with how you're going to make it go right, okay? Yesterday's podcast, I did a great podcast with Step, an entrepreneur, and we talked about what happens if you just have this winner's mindset and you're just obsessed with, I'm going to make this work no matter what. I'm not going to accept failure. I'm going to make this work. That's what I want you to do here. I want you to be obsessed with, I'm going to make this work. This is going to be the best night ever. Yeah, it doesn't matter if we don't have sex. Like, to some degree, that's the ball is in her court. If you make a move and she says like, hey, not tonight, can we do it next time? Fine. You can't like literally make her have sex. But for the most part, you say, I'm going to have the best night I possibly can. If we don't have sex, fine. But like, even if we don't have sex, it's going to be the best goddamn night ever. We're going to make out. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be fucking awesome. So I'll keep reading here. I know logically that the only way I'll learn is by trying and actually going on dates. Yep, you're already doing that, man. So you need to give yourself some credit there. Just keep doing what you're doing. But my judgments on myself have been crippling me. Yeah, that's what happens at the start. This is terrifying for you. There's so many emotions caught up in this. There's like validation. There's, the feeling of, I'll never be good at this. I'll never be a player. I'm never going to be like Andy or any of the other guys that get laid. I'm just a loser. I don't even know how to talk to a girl. Like, how come he can just have sex with like as many girls as he wants and I'm sitting here like nervous and I don't even know how to like make a move? Of course, all of that is going to cripple you. Of course, that's what we all have to go through. Do you think I didn't have to go through this shit? I spent like freaking 3 years going through this shit. So this is completely normal. Don't beat yourself up for this. It will get better. You already know the answer. You literally just said, I know logically the only way is by trying and going on dates. You know the answer, so keep doing that. You go on to say, when I found your site, I was so happy that a resource like this existed, and it pushed me to go on more dates, it pushed me to take going on more dates more seriously. Awesome. Yeah, that's absolutely the answer. Just like anything in life, if you want to get decent at something, you just have to do it a lot, yeah? Now that the initial kick of motivation is over, I'm feeling like I should just go back to my comfort zone because at least there I don't feel near crippling anxiety. Yeah, this is exactly why people, set a New Year's resolution and then in the first week of February, they give up and they say, fuck, this is really hard. You have that massive motivation in the first month, maybe the first 3 months. That kind of fades away because the novelty of it goes away. And now you're just left in this, horrible position where you don't yet have the success that you're going for. Like, it's not like you right now are getting laid a ton. You do have success. You're just not very good at giving yourself credit for it. Or everything you've done here is massive success. I know that you don't feel like it is, but it is. Anyway, the point is, it's not like you're getting laid a ton right now. So you're in this uncomfortable position where you don't have that initial surge of motivation, and you also don't have the success to give you motivation, because the first couple of times you get laid, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is amazing. I want to keep this up. So you're in the worst position right now where you don't have any success yet, or you don't have much success yet, and you also don't have the initial motivation. This is the time when we figure out who's a winner and who's a loser. This is the time when we figure out who's an average fucking normie versus who's a guy who deserves to get laid or, reach their goals, whatever those goals are. This is the pain period. This is the moment where we separate the boys from the men. It is entirely up to you whether you leave or whether you stay. I can't force you. And how can I say this in a nice way? I want you to be successful, but, at the end of the day, it's only you that will suffer. If you leave, I won't fucking know. How will I know? You're just some random that's emailed me out of however many fucking hundreds I get, right? This is the moment where the only person that will care is you. And the only reason that you're doing this the only person you're doing this for at this point in time is you. You basically have a chance right now to look yourself in the mirror and say, do I want to, in a month, be able to look myself in the eyes and say, I'm a man? Or am I okay with, in a month, I've quit and I just sit on the couch watching Netflix, eating fucking Doritos and drinking Mountain Dew, and I just can't look myself in the mirror, but who cares? I can just distract myself with fucking alcohol and video games and Netflix and shit like that. This is that moment. You have that chance right now. This is the hardest thing that you will go through, and this is the hardest part of it. You are literally in the worst part of it right now. You don't have that success yet, and you don't have the initial motivation. If you get through this period right now, I promise you, for the rest of your fucking life, you get to look in the mirror, you get to look deep into your own eyes and say, I'm a fucking man. I did shit that 99% of fucking losers out there will never do. They don't have the balls to do what I did. They fucking quit when they get to this point. I didn't. I'm not a fucking pussy. I'm not a loser. I am special. I knew that I could be like this, and I am. I just proved it. No more sitting on the couch watching Netflix. No more being a loser. No more not getting what I want. I'm allowed to have whatever the hell I want. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, I have to work for it. Yes, I have to put in time. Of course, we all do. I did. Everybody does. But you know that you'll be able to look yourself in the eyes and say, the world is my oyster. I'm a man. I fucking proved it. I went through something incredibly fucking difficult that most people pussy out on. 99.99999% of people pussy out on this. In this moment, this is the moment where they pussy out. That's what you get if you push through. You get to look in the mirror and know that you're a man. I'll keep reading. So to answer your question concisely, my biggest struggles are overcoming this anxiety of uncomfortable situations. Yeah, that'll just be a process of like what I just said. Don't quit, push through, don't be a pussy like everybody else, and just keep going, right? You'll practice, you'll get better at it. And then being able to relax and go with the flow on dates and not judge my every little move. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. So you talk about you want to be able to relax and go with the flow on dates. How do you do that? I think you already know what answer I'm going to give you. That's just practice. That's just confidence. How does, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, fucking any of the decent basketballers, I say decently, any of the best basketballers of all time, how do they get into that flow state where you watch them and they look like, the ball is theirs, the court is theirs. Or if you want to talk about like football, soccer, like Ronaldo, Messi, those kind of people. If you want to talk about tennis, like, Federer, even Rafael Nadal, Djokovic, those kind of people, the people who make their sport look like an art form, like they're a maestro, conducting an orchestra, or they're a painter with like, the best brushstrokes of all time. How do they do that? How do they get into that state where it looks like they're just going with the flow? They're super confident. It looks like they don't second guess themselves. It looks like they just know what to do, right? How do they do that? Fucking tens of millions of trillions of hours practice. And it won't take you that long with dates, but you might have to go on like 20 dates before you get to a point where you don't second guess your every move. You don't sit there thinking, fuck, should I have sat on the left-hand side of her or the right-hand side? Fuck, was that joke actually funny or should I have shut my mouth? Like, was that a dumb joke that I just made? Shit, like, did I ask her too many questions about her childhood? Like, does she think that I'm too inquisitive and I'm being nosy? Or did I not ask her enough? Damn it, like, what's the best time to hold her hand? How do I hold her hand? When do I kiss her? Oh my God, fuck, like so many questions. That shit will go away, I promise, but it only goes away after you've had like, 10 dates, 20 dates. It depends on the person, but somewhere in that range, right? And that's not 20 different girls. It just means like 20 different dates. Sometimes dates with the same person makes you relax, yeah? It really is just a social skill that you're practicing. You've never done it before, or you haven't done it a whole lot. You're not going to be able to relax and go with the flow because you don't know what to do, right? You literally don't know what to do. You will get into this flow state. I promise. When I go on dates, I can't even tell you how relaxed I am. I'm more relaxed than I am. I'm probably more relaxed on a date than I am like hanging out with my friends. I honestly think that's probably true. Yeah, I probably am because I think I've been on more dates. I think I have been on more dates than... Okay, that can't be true, actually, now that I logically think about it. But I genuinely feel, let's say, as relaxed, if not slightly more relaxed, on a date versus hanging out with my friends. I guess you can say that's an element of I know on the dates, I know exactly what's going to happen. I've gotten ridiculously good. Sometimes I get it wrong, sure, but like 19 times out of 20, I can tell you yes or no within like immediately if the girl is going to sleep with me or not. I can tell you pretty much how everything is going to go. I might get one thing wrong here and there, but I can tell you pretty much is what's going to happen. I can't necessarily tell you that when I hang out with my friends. So it's almost like I'm more certain of what's going to happen on a date. And that only comes from doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, having a plan that I stick to pretty much every time. That's why, like in my Tinder guide, I give you an actual plan. I say, here's your game plan. Just do this. Go on a date with her for this much, for this long, then say this sentence, and take her back to your apartment, then do this. I give you an actual game plan because the more you practice that game plan and stick to it, just like in normal sports, the more you practice something, you start to get into a point where you can just relax. It becomes second nature. It's like being in the military and getting something drilled into you so many times that when it comes time for combat, you don't have to think about it. You just go through the motions. You know how to fucking load your rifle. You know how to kill someone. You know how to, what to do if your gun jams. You know all of that stuff. So keep practicing. You're doing everything correct. I know sometimes you second guess yourself. It sounds like you're second guessing yourself all the time. That's normal, dude. Like, that's completely normal. Welcome to the club. That's the shit that I had to go through for years and years and years. This is stuff that everybody has to go through. You're doing everything correctly. Just keep pushing forward. I promise you everything you're doing here is perfect. So you say, I need to get out of my head and have the confidence to follow through with what I initially set out to do. Sure, but you can't just force that. You can to some extent. Like you can say like, okay, I got to do this. You can give yourself little pep talks. That's brilliant. Use this podcast that I'm giving you now as a pep talk. But you will get out of your head just with practice. You can't yell at yourself to get out of your head. Okay, you kind of can, but the easier way to do it is just with more practice. So this is a problem that will completely go away if you just talk to more girls. That's why I have an article on my website that says the solution to all of your problems is go and talk to more girls. It fixes everything. It fixes your confidence. It fixes your anxiety, your neuroses. It fixes not knowing how to relax. It fixes everything. So go talk to more girls. Keep doing what you're doing. Everything is perfect. You say, I want to have the confidence to follow through with what I initially set out to do. That will just come with practice, right? That's why I said before, don't quit, so that you know you can look yourself in the eyes and say, I'm a man. I do what I initially set out to do. I follow through. I don't quit. The more goals you achieve, the more dates you go on, the more, let's just say the more goals you achieve, like I said, you teach yourself, I'm a man who does what he sets out to do. It's like you're building a habit or building a precedent of following through. And the more you do that, the more you start to trust yourself. It's not a confidence thing. It's like a trust in yourself. You're like, the last 10 goals I set, or the last 5 goals I set, I did all of them. Yeah, I stumbled along the way. I made a bunch of mistakes. Maybe I missed my deadlines, but I eventually got them done, right? Like I got them all done. Cool. I know that I can trust myself. If I set the next goal, I will do it, right? Maybe I'll be a bit late with the deadline. Fine. Maybe I'll fuck it up 10 times before I get there. Maybe it'll take me 10 times as long as I thought it would. Fine, whatever. Maybe I won't do a perfect job and I'll botch it a bit, but I know that I will eventually do it. You need to teach yourself to trust yourself. And the only way to do that is by achieving a lot of goals, by going on more dates, losing weight, hitting the gym, whatever your goals are, all that stuff. Just keep doing that. Keep doing that. Build a habit of following through on your goals. That's how you get the confidence to follow through. The confidence doesn't come first. Just continuing to do what you're doing comes first. And it's okay to make a bunch of mistakes. It's okay to fuck this stuff up. It's okay to self-sabotage sometimes. None of that really matters as long as you never quit. That is the only thing that matters. Don't quit. If you don't quit, you will eventually be successful. Even if you fuck it up 500 times along the way, you'll eventually figure it out and make it happen, yeah? So you say, right now, I'm very close to canceling these dates just to rid my anxiety. There you go. There you go. So that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say self-sabotage, loser's mindset, all that kind of stuff. So that's what happens when you're very terrified, when people are very terrified of something going wrong. A lot of the time they self-sabotage and say, nope, I'm too scared of this. I know she's going to reject me, so I'm just going to send her a text right now and say we can't meet. It's like, you're scared she's going to reject you, so your answer is to reject her first. You can't fire me, I quit. You don't win in that scenario. You still are jobless. So don't cancel the dates. That's my first suggestion. Push through. And here's the plan that I will give you that will actually solve this problem for you. I am giving you, and I want you to give yourself permission not to have sex with these girls. Okay? In fact, I don't want you to have sex with these girls. The next time you meet each of these girls, I don't want you to have sex with them. I forbid it. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to have sex. So I wrote this article a long time ago. I think it was like a year and a half ago, called How to Deal with Performance Anxiety, or like how to deal with erectile dysfunction. And I had like 15 different strategies. All of them are like completely non-mainstream, like not the normal bullshit mainstream shit that you read. These are actual proper things that work. Stuff that I used because I used to suffer. I won't say I do anymore, but like even as recently as like 6 months ago, when I had my foursome at the start of mid 2020, I had a ton of anxiety around that, right? I was nervous as fuck. But early on, I had so much performance anxiety and erectile dysfunction, like I literally couldn't get it up so many times when I would see a girl. And my only solution, or my best solution, was the thing that I have at the top of this article. I'll leave a link in the show notes below to this article, but the gist of it is give yourself permission not to have sex, and go even one step further and do what I said to you, a little bit ago. You're not allowed to have sex. You are not allowed to have sex with these girls that you see the first time you see them. You can have sex with them, after you see them, or the next time after that you see them, but you can't fuck them the next time you see them. You give yourself this permission to not have sex. You can do everything else. You can make out with them. You can fool around. You can play with their pussy. You can finger them. You can go down on them. You can suck on their nipples. You can play with some toys. You can make them orgasm. Do whatever the hell you want. It doesn't matter. But your dick is not allowed to be played with, okay? You're not allowed to play with your dick. And by doing that, you completely take all the pressure off yourself, especially if you do what I said and you say, I'm not allowed to have sex, rather than I'm not going to have sex. You say, I'm not allowed. When you draw that line in the sand, it really does take all the pressure off. You're like, yeah, we're not even going to have sex tonight. Cool. Like, what's the pressure? What pressure is there? Yeah, I still have to like finger her and, do whatever else I want to do. But there isn't this like pressure of performance. Like, I don't have to fuck her brains out. I don't have to get it up. Like, none of that stuff. We'll just do everything else. We'll just fool around. We'll have a bit of fun. It'll be cool. It makes you feel like it's a much more like relaxed time. Like, you guys are just hanging out. You're going to make some dinner together. That'll be cool. You'll fool around on the couch. Maybe you have a drink. Maybe you won't. It doesn't matter. You fool around on the couch. You play with her titties. That'll be a bit of fun. Maybe you finger her. Maybe you make her feel good. Maybe you get the fucking sex toy and make her come. That kind of stuff. But there's no pressure to have sex. So that's what I want you to do, especially because you are sitting here on the verge of canceling dates. I felt the same. In fact, I won't say I'm ashamed to say it, but like, yeah, I was silly enough, although I don't blame myself at the time. I'm pretty kind to myself. Let's just say I was a bit of a goofball and I canceled quite a few dates. I flaked on so many girls, probably like 30 girls in total, because of stuff like this, because I was super terrified that I couldn't get it up, that I wouldn't be able to perform, that, I'd fuck something up. So I would literally just send them a text and say, hey, sorry, something came up. I can't see you tonight. Sometimes I'd even flake like an hour before the date, like an asshole, right? When they're already on the train, like on the way to see me, and I'd be like, I'm so sorry, I can't see you tonight. Something came up. I'm so sorry. Because I was terrified of anxiety, exactly like you're talking about. And the thing that fixed it for me was exactly this, telling myself, okay, I'm too terrified to have sex. I don't think I can have sex tonight. What if I just don't have sex? What if we just fool around and just have a nice night? Again, that winner's mindset. Instead of saying like, oh, I'm so terrified of like, me fucking it up. Start moving towards like victory. Start moving towards winning. Start moving towards having a good night. And tell yourself, we're just going to meet up, have a bit of fun. It's going to be really nice. Like, I'm going to have a good night with her. It's going to be great. Move towards that, yeah? And that will take away like 99% of your anxiety. Because the worst thing you can do here is try and force yourself to have sex and then pussy out last minute, which it sounds like you're on the verge of doing that. You literally say, I'm very close to canceling. So fine, don't have sex. That will get rid of your anxiety. Don't cancel to get rid of your anxiety. Take off the pressure to have sex to get rid of your anxiety. And you'll find the more time you spend with these girls, you will be more comfortable to have sex. Yes, you'll probably be nervous, even if you fool around tonight or this night, and then the next time you try and have sex, you'll probably still be nervous, but you'll be less nervous because you'll be like, yeah, I already saw her naked. Like, we already fooled around, it went pretty well. She wasn't that stressed. I didn't fuck anything up. She's seeing me now for a third time. We fooled around last time I played with her pussy, and now she still wants to see me again. I guess maybe I'm not fucking this up that badly, right? Like, she literally wants to see me again. So take all the pressure off. No sex. You're not allowed to have sex. You're not allowed to play with your dick. If she asks, because some girls will, you just frame it in a fun way. You just like frame it in like a teasing fun way. You just like, no, you have to wait for that. Like, we'll do that next time. No girl will push you. I promise you they won't pressure you. They might say stuff like, please, I'm really horny. But like, generally speaking, they won't, especially if you're kind of like, nervous and it's not like crazy sexual. You're just kind of fooling around. Most girls are fine with you fooling around. Yeah. Especially if you do what I said and frame it in a positive, fun way. Just be like, yeah, you have to wait till next time. Or we'll do that next time. Or I just want to fool around a bit tonight. Just, play it off casual. It's no big deal. I promise. It really is a super casual thing. And most girls are actually pretty, you'll find a lot of girls are like fine with it. As long as you do other stuff. Like if you fool around, play with her tits, make her feel good, play with her pussy, have a bit of fun. Yeah. Make out, have some dinner, have a good night. Make it clear that you're having fun with her, that she didn't do anything wrong or any of that. And just play it off. Just be like, yeah, like we'll just fool around. We'll do some other stuff and we'll fuck next time. Like, I just like to take my time. You can frame it like that if you want to. I like to take my time. I like to go slow with this stuff, or I like to build up anticipation, or, even just say like, I just feel like fooling around a bit tonight. Like I'm not feeling like super fucking crazy, ultra sexual tonight. I want to fool around, have a nice night, and then I want to fuck your brains out next time. There you go. I know you're probably not going to say I want to fuck your brains out because you're anxious, but fine. If you can say that, I'll give you a high five. So that's pretty much the end of the email. Pretty much everything you wrote. So yeah, let's summarize. So move towards a winner's mindset, push yourself towards, I want to make this work. I'm going to have fun with these girls. This is going to be awesome. I want you to start giving yourself credit for everything you've achieved. You've achieved a lot already. Everything you're doing is perfect. Keep doing the same things. You are already on the path to success. Just don't fucking quit. The worst thing you could ever do is quit. That is when you will fail. If you're feeling that anxiety where you're like, oh my God, I want to cancel this date, just do what I said and say, okay, I can't have sex. I'm not allowed to have sex. We're just going to fool around. It's like you're inserting one more date before sex. You're still doing sexual stuff, so it's still going to be a fun date for her. It's going to be a fun date for you. You're just taking a little longer before you have sex because you're a bit nervous, right? Cool, fine, perfect, do that. And yeah, just accept that you're going to be a bit nervous. You're going to be a bit anxious. You're going to be a little bit of a train wreck for a while. That's fine, man. Like, that's perfectly normal. I was. You will become more motivated, you will become more confident, you'll be able to relax and get into that flow. Just like sports stars do, the more they practice, you'll be exactly the same. The more you practice, the more dates you go on, the more women you meet, the more you get good at this stuff. You get to a point where you're like, you don't even give a fuck. You just be on a date. I promise that is coming for you. Maybe I should add that in. I promise there will be a day when you go on dates and you literally don't care. I feel literally nothing when I'm on a date other than like, oh, she's cool, whatever we're chatting about. Oh, wow, that's interesting. What a great point. Oh, wow, she's so cute when she smiles. Oh, wow, she's sexy as hell. God, her tits are great. Like, I'm focusing on that stuff. I'm not focusing on what's in my head because there's nothing in my head other than being in the moment, right? Whatever, anything that's in my head is like, oh, I should ask her this, or, oh, wow, what a cool thing. Maybe I should, I'm thinking of the conversation. Again, that's like living in the moment or being in the moment. I promise that is coming for you. I promise. And I promise sex will feel like that as well. You'll bring her back to your apartment. You won't feel anything. You'll just chill on the couch and you'll be like, oh, she's hot as fuck. I should kiss her. And then you just will. Or sometimes you'll be like, man, she's cool as shit, but I'm really enjoying talking to her. I'll fuck her in a minute, but like, damn, I really want to keep this conversation going. You'll talk for like 30 minutes. It'll be super relaxed. And then you'll just be like, yo, come here. And she'll come over and then you'll make out with her. You'll fuck her. Like, you'll be so relaxed that you get to do whatever the hell you want, right? And I promise that is coming for you. I promise it's coming for you. But the only way is to go through. You can't avoid the painful period that you're in right now where you don't have the initial motivation, but you also don't have the success to keep you going. You're in the sucky stage. You're in the stage that really sucks. The only way out is through. You have to just keep wading through the mud. As they say in the military, you have to eat shit for a little bit. I'm sorry, but you do. You really have to go through this period. There's no avoiding it, but it gets better on the other side. I promise, relaxation and confidence and being able to just enjoy this shit is waiting for you, but only if you keep pushing forwards. If you quit, then you have to go back to Netflix and self-medication and video games and porn and not having any friends and not having any girls love you and reading my website and wishing you could be more like me. That's what's waiting for you if you quit. If you don't quit, if you just keep going, you can join me and everybody else on my website and on my forums and all the guys getting laid. You can join all of us, just like we've all sort of joined each other. We were all losers at one point. Or if you want a nicer way to phrase it, we were all newbies at the start. I didn't know how to get laid. I had no confidence. I was awkward as shit. I canceled so many dates because I was a little pussy, because I was scared that I wouldn't be able to get it up. That's completely fine. That's what happens. Just keep going. Even if you fucking cancel dates, it's fine. You can just keep pushing forwards. Don't do it again. Try not to do it too much because you'll regret it. Just keep pushing forwards and don't quit. I'll give a shout out again to my Patreon. Go to patreon.com/killyourinaloser. Lowest tier is only $5. At the higher tiers, you get to ask me questions. And even the lowest tier really, really, really supports me. Again, I really want to shout out that I want to build something fucking cool this year. I want to build like a fucking awesome community. I want us to really start pushing this. 2020 was a bitch. Most of us were locked down in shitty countries with shitty lockdown laws. A lot of us didn't get laid that much. Let's make 2021 an absolute killer year. I got a lot of good content coming up. I'd really appreciate your support, especially on Patreon. Let's make it happen, guys. Adios. Adios. Adios.